Secessio Plebis, or the leaving of the plebs, was a very interesting thing that was occurring multiple times, actually, between the 5th and the 3rd century BC in ancient Rome. So what was that? What was the plebs, why were they leaving Rome and where were they going? Well, they were leaving Rome for a number of reasons, but mainly what the primary complaint is that everybody was in debt and there were unjust laws. The elite class was protected and the plebeian class, or the working class like you and me, were not. They were given almost very little freedom, and what freedom that they did have, it was constantly being treaded upon by this elite class. So what was interesting is that there's multiple times that this has happened, several times in that 200 or so year time span, that the working class collected themselves in Rome and just left. They just said, no, we're good with this whole civilization thing you've got going on. Seems like you've got it figured out, right? Even though we're the one cooking the meals, we're the ones preparing the food to be cooked into a meal, we're the one getting the water, we're the ones building the houses, we're doing everything, while the elite sit back and collect. And we decided that we're done with that. So the plebes leave. They just leave Rome. They all collect all their stuff. They get all their households together, all their oxen and their sheep and everything, and then they leave. And they went out into the countryside where they would just persist. And big surprise, those that are, well suited to survive as the common man and common woman in society, they're pretty good survivalists. Who would have thought? So they go out there, they have a grand old time. They don't just survive. They thrive out there. They thrive out there. They plant farms, they start communities, they start conversations. And the best part about this is you'd think that this type of movement would be, quelled with some kind of rebellion, or not a rebellion, but a downward force from the Roman Empire. But what was strange is that this was such a threat to the Roman Empire that they completely gave in. They said, we will do anything and everything that you want. Please just come back. So when it comes to our great union, maybe it's time for a little bit of a succession. I don't know, man. I don't know. But that's just me. It's important to note that this was a completely non-violent movement, too. There was no fighting. There was no yelling. There was no bad words. It was just us getting what's good for us and leaving them to themselves. So, I don't know. Check out my last video on preparedness and try to get your mind and your heart there. And we're going to be better tomorrow, I think. So, have a good one, my friend.